debate, uncut, and after show. I'm your host, Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe, hit the bell notification icon, and join button if you'd like to become a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member and keep up to date with the Flat Earth debate. If you would like to support the channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they premiere, and there's also a coffee, Patreon, crypto, and thanks button in the info box below the video. Speaking of Patreons, I'm going to do a quick shout out to all of you who do support me on Patreon. So, a massive shout of thanks and appreciation to Survive the Spin, Effie Patriot, Steve, On the Level, Thomas van der Zander, Cannabear, Gary Hughes, Measured Flat, Chris Wouters, Sensible Goat, Mitch Kennedy, Rod, The Name's Burley, Todd Wazzle, Jason Hornsby, Christoph Fournier, Flat Earth Travolta, JMails24, Unimento, Iron26, Endless, Golden McKiernan, Retro Bill, Level Plain Poem, Michael Kahn, John Kays, Patrick Gunnels, Banter, Mel B. Styles, Hairy Blade, Mobile Max 777, Rob W., Del West Watson, Unbelievable Productions, Blue Ridge Ranger, Abraham Mohammed, Skeptic 936, Texas Mike, Chow Yun Cat, David Wayne Foster, and Dank. So another massive thank you to all of you for supporting me on Patreon. Also, another shout out to Banter, one of my Patreons who dropped me a message. Fortunately, I can't seem to figure out how to get the message to reply, so I have paid attention to your message. And yes, indeed, I would like some help with that. So I'll drop you a line once I get my computer all sorted. With that, I will pass over to whoever is in Discord and Google so you can enjoy their dulcet tones while I set up for today's live show.
Well, it's just like with the Bible, God's word. If you don't come at it with an honest heart, you're not going to see the truth. But if you come at it with an honest heart, you'll see the truth. So he's seen the truth. Then he started learning how to act on God's word, and he started learning how to get God to answer his prayers and do the same. And he got delivered out of a jam, massive, like $160,000 tax debt jam. He kept getting letters in the mail for like the past, I don't know, over a year or almost two. And it was stressing him out because he was just about to get married, start a family, and he had this huge tax debt over his head that was going to set him back many years. Well, he learned how to cast his cares upon God in Jesus' name and let him handle the situation instead of him handling it and worrying about it. And boom, lo and behold, I don't know, 2 weeks or something pass, and he gets a letter that's all been taken care of but $1,000. I don't know what that $1,000 was for, service charge or something, but it all got wiped. And then he's standing on God's word for other things. And lo and behold, all that stuff got sorted out too. And that's how it goes. Right?
I'm glad
You
for
gotta
him.
have it. You got a heavenly Father out there that wants to take care of you. Wants you to get saved, and then he wants to continue to taking care of you in this life and then in eternity. The people don't let him. Oh. Remember, people that come to God must believe that He is, and that He is a rewarder of those that diligently seek Him. So it pays to seek God. It pays big time. I mean, you got the Creator of the whole world, who's on your side and wants to help you. You don't want to seek that. Even eternal life, offering eternal life. I know in movies, everybody's like, oh, movies and video games, everybody wants to seek eternal life. It's like, oh, Raiders of the Lost Ark, or what is the other one? The Holy Grail. What's There's a lot of movies that just talk about having eternal life, and even in today's news and medical science, they're like, oh, we're trying to figure out how to have eternal life. Well, eternal life is really easy, right?
I appreciate you talking to me about it.
All right. Well, anyways, just a thought, you know. It worked for one of my guys that joins Bible studies now regularly. It will work for you too. God's no respecter of persons. In other words, he doesn't have favoritism. What he does for one person, he'll do for everybody else too. Uh, anyways, who's all here? What do we got? Oh, Nathan and crew and everybody's here.
Good morning, gentlemen.
Morning, mate.
Hey,
So, what else is there to chat about? How are things going, Mighty?
Things are good, man. Just got up.
Oh, you're eating. Okay. Sorry to disturb
Yeah,
you.
I'm having a little early eat. I usually don't eat this early, but kind of feel hungry this morning for some strange reason.
Yeah, I'm just about to make some eggs. I just heated up a frying pan.
My wife made some pancakes, so I'm having a pancakes with jam and a black coffee.
That sounds good.
Yep.
Sounds very good.
Watching this Diddy stuff like I've been into the last few days, dude. It's just wild what's coming up. All the people that are coming out and the stuff that he was doing, dude, is just like, holy cow.
I
And the
just
fact
heard
that he
some.
was,
Go on.
sorry, bro, go ahead.
No, you go. The fact that he was.
The fact that he was all along, like he was literally, um, saying what he was doing, dude, in his songs and this when he would speak, but he would use this language where you kind of confuse like what he's saying, but now that everything came out and you go back and listen to what he was saying, it's just wild stuff, dude. Like he's literally saying that he's gonna put people out when they come to his party. We make you go to sleep, man. Saying stuff like we wake up together, we do wild stuff, dude. Like he was saying this stuff all along in his songs, in his music, and in the speeches that he was giving. And everybody all along, everybody was kind of confused, not knowing, like why is he saying these weird things? But at the same time, there were people who knew all this all along, and they were, calling it out. But for all these decades, bro, it was just a conspiracy theory. Now he's in the worst jail in New York City, and all the conspiracy theories are coming out to be true about him. And there's so many people involved, dude. Like so many big names that are part of his evil ring, like Jay-Z and Clyde Davis, all these industry moguls. Like the whole music industry is collapsing, dude. At least the hip hop side of the industry. It's just wild, man. So I've been kind of watching that lately in the last few days, a lot.
All right.
And yeah, man, nothing good. The wickedness, the amount of wickedness, dude, in these people, like, it's just incomprehensible to me, dude. Children involved, down to 9 years old, man. Molesting kids.
All right. Jeez, let's keep it PG-13 here.
Yeah.
In case, well,
Yeah, I might as well
even if
stop.
Nathan's not recording, I still want a PG-13.
Yeah, I didn't say anything that's, like just whatever. No, definitely no need to talk about it anymore, bro. Just,
I gotcha.
yeah.
All right.
But what's going on today, man? We're covering the video, or people keep asking about this video that Nathan was supposed to cover yesterday, about this skull guy or whatever, talking potato. A couple of people told me it's a really good one.
Yeah, that was the video we were going to cover. It wasn't that dude that we actually covered. It was a different video. Okay. Have you
Talking potato, remember?
Where's that? Have you got a link to that talking potato video?
Yeah, I can find it. It should be still on Skype if you're on Skype.
I'm just scrolling through Master B now and I can't see it.
All right, let me see it.
It's about earlier fellow shows. Is this it? Kryptonite physics, planets and stars. Is that it?
I'm
No.
not sure,
How the
man.
inverse square law makes. No, that's not. That's not Mr. Potato.
Wait, where did I put it? Somebody sent it to me. Oh my gosh.
Was it you that shared it with me originally?
Yes,
I
but
just
somebody
so I
sent
know-
it to me. I didn't find it.
Yeah, just so I know who I'm looking for
So-
in Master B. Altitude balloon, that's definitely not it. Here we go. Debunking flat earth theory. That was the one that we actually covered yesterday, so it's got to be above there somewhere. Here we go. r/flat earth with special guest Mark Sargent and Alt Skull. Yeah?
Yes. Yes, that's the one. That's the one.
Okay.
Go to your kitchen right now and try this turmeric hack that outshines Ozempic for shedding 2 or more pounds almost overnight.
There are 3 simple reasons why you can't manifest abundance.
Well,
Why not?
because
I
we
think-
just surf subreddits. That's all we do is we surf subreddits. We go on the internet and we look at another website and we talk about it.
Yeah. That's like half of the internet. I mean, literally, you're half the internet. Physically.
Okay. So, do you have any idea at what point they start presumably talking to Mark Sargent? Or do they have any preamble? Have you actually watched this?
I watched just the intro, and it seemed good. So the first couple of minutes, the guy just introduces the first guy,
Okay.
and
Let's have a
like
listen.
literally first couple of sentences
Your
from his
mic is
mouth is
out.
just
Kind of like this Vinny better. Yes.
Is that better?
Yeah, you're back.
Oh, sorry about that, guys. This cable.
What
might be
garage
giving
sale
me
did you
grief.
buy that microphone from, Vinny?
I got it from the Imus estate from about a decade ago. So I'm just saying, Cardiff, all we do is we surf subreddits.
Mhm.
It might be a very brilliant idea because it's on par with Seinfeld's show about nothing.
Mm-hmm. And there is a science to what we do, Vinny. It's not just willy nilly.
We're not doing science tonight, my friend.
No, we
No
are.
science.
We are.
No,
I think
sir.
we're going to disagree on
definitely
this
not.
topic, Vinny.
I'm doing jokes. I want to learn. I'm going to sit back and I'm going to listen.
Mhm.
I am not smart enough to do science, was my point, Cardiff.
Well, neither was I, obviously. As
Okay,
demonstrated
so-
backstage earlier. I believe I just learned how gravity works while we were
Yeah.
backstage tonight.
So joining us, who is speaking of backstage, is our producer,
Yeah.
Jimmy the Lip. Good
It
evening,
is.
Jimmy.
Hi, Yimmy.
Aloha.
Thank
That's
you for
enough.
all your hard work this week. You've done an outstanding job.
I do my best.
You've helped us find 2 outstanding guests about our topic.
I have.
Allegedly.
Yep.
Allegedly.
Now, we know you want to keep your job, so
Yeah.
they better be good guests. You better not have screwed this up for us.
Yep, we're good. All good. Golden.
No, we are
Okay.
golden. We have some big stars from the flat Earth. Did we set up? We're talking about flat Earth tonight, or did I just
I was about
spoil
to.
it?
That was good. You spoiled it.
I spoiled
Flat
it.
Earth
It's also the
tonight.
title of the show. I mean, it's not that big of a spoiler, but it's fine.
Sure.
I understand. I made a faux pas. Flat Earth.
Water under the bridge.
Pros
Flat
and
Earth.
cons.
Just spin on through this and just get to the next guest? Or what?
I think
So
the
they
first
started
guest should
out
be
with
coming on and
science?
just
I wasn't asking you, Neil. Hold on.
Nathan. The first guest is gonna make introduction very soon, man. Like I said, I only watched the first few minutes.
Okay.
So
You want to know what's going on this Reddit? I have been looking at it for a few days, and what I have kind of narrowed it down to is a bit of a pissing contest between the two sides. So it's a lot of fun. It's a fun Reddit because you get like a little bit of everything on it. But tonight, our guests, I believe, tell me if I'm wrong, Jimmy, are both pro flat Earth.
You were right.
Okay, great.
I couldn't going through the subreddit. I couldn't tell, like, if the sub was pro or con in general.
Hmm.
Like, it seemed like most of it was memes making fun of flat Earth stuff to me. Like, that's kind of
Yeah.
everything I was hitting on. But I know there was the pro side in there as well. But I don't know if they
Yeah.
just get buried.
I read a lot of pro. I read a lot
Okay.
of pro posts myself because honestly, I've never thought about it. I've been told one thing my whole life, and because I've only been told one thing my whole life, something new sounds ridiculous to me. So maybe I read a lot of pro. I read a lot
Okay.
of pro posts myself because honestly, I've never thought about it. I've been told one thing my whole life, and because I've only been told one thing my whole life, something new sounds ridiculous to me.
That is the most honest way I've ever heard a newbie approach this subject. Ever.
I was
I mean-
thinking the same thing.
I've been told one thing my whole life. Therefore, if I get told something that's contrary to that, I automatically feel it's stupid. Yeah.
So maybe
But he also says like
tonight
it sounds
is
crazy
the
to
night that
him.
we
So
all just
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. If you're told,
but I would ask him right away, like, what about reality sounds crazy? What about flat Earth sounds crazy? That would be my first question.
There's a good chance that he's on a Reddit forum, so he's going to be discussing the Feast of Nonsense, isn't he?
Yeah.
Yep.
open up our minds and we listen and we find out what flat Earth is all about. Sound good, guys?
It sounds good. I have to say I'm a little excited because I first learned of flat Earth from one of our guests tonight from a documentary, a Netflix and Amazon Prime documentary, Behind the Curve. Vinny, we have a big star in the flat Earth community here tonight.
Well, let's get rid of Jimmy then.
Yeah, please. We don't want to scare
both-
anyone off.
Both of our guests are here tonight, so I'm going to bring them on, and we're going to have a whole lot of fun
royale.
together. A battle royale.
Mhm.
We're going to learn a lot. Our first guest today joining us is. Would you like to introduce him? Finish your introduction.
I thought you were bringing on your guest.
Okay. Well, ladies and
It's a shame so many
live show,
people
Nathan,
struggle with
because
the
that
most.
like literally the first sentence this guy says, it's pretty cool, man. It's a pretty cool intro.
from
Okay. From wait.
second episode back, I still hate you. I want to welcome from the Paranormies podcast, Alt Skull. Hello,
Hello,
Alt. How are you?
Hey, is my mic working?
Indeed.
You sound great, my friend.
Awesome. Great. Good. Thanks for having me on, guys.
Yeah, man. We are very excited to have you. I know that you are pro flat Earth, from what I understand, and I'd like to talk to you a little bit about your personal experiences and how you came to that conclusion, and maybe how you go through your everyday life, kind of talking to people about this when you believe in it, because I don't
See if he corrects him on that.
think it's something that gets brought up a lot, but when it is, I'm sure it's kind of a hot topic with people, right?
Yeah. Well, I'll get something out of the way
Please.
first. I don't believe in flat Earth.
Booyah! I love this guy already.
Nice.
I know the Earth is flat. I know. The Earth is flat because every single measure that we use to calculate what Earth is, that is, how we navigate it, how we build on it, how we fly, how we navigate the ocean, how maps are made, are all created using flat Earth measurements. So the belief side of it is actually the heliocentric people. These are the people who have a religious belief. And
This guy's ace.
Who is
I
this
don't need a
guy?
belief.
Oh, yeah.
It's called Alt
You might
Skull.
want to,
ALT.
yeah, man. You might
Skull.
want to save it for the live show, Nathan.
Okay, I'll save it. I was going to do something else that Liam had presented me with, some guy called Jay. But I think this is better. We'll go with this. We're going to do it on the live show. Yeah, I'm with that.
Nathan, this guy sounds like you.
I don't know if he sounds like me. He says some of the things I say, though, for sure. That's good. Excellent.
That's what I mean. He's like, it's like, is he watching our show?
Well, without a doubt. Oh, I was feeling apprehensive that it would be another Feast of Nonsense garbage flat earther, and the first words out of his mouth are to correct the host on him having a belief when he knows damn well it's flat. Awesome. Absolutely awesome. I'm glad we are covering this. It was well worth the build-up.
That's refreshing.
Yeah, very. What needs to happen, Neil, for whatever reason, we're hated. Us doing it to great effect isn't enough. But some guy, Alt Skull in this case, who hears it and puts it to great effect, will have an impact that we can't. Now, don't get me wrong, we have to do it for the guy, Alt Skull in this case, to have heard it and repeat it. But that's how stuff spreads, isn't it? It just takes that next man to go, yeah, I'm not going to be held to task on my flat earth belief anymore when I know it's flat. And if I'm asked about my flat earth belief, I'll tell them that.
I'm still in shock. I'm going to be honest with you.
Well, it's all gone a bit quiet now. It's quite a long show, but you're saying it's worth saving that intro just for the live stream. Mush. I'll rewind it and we'll play that bit again in the live stream. Fine.
Yeah, definitely.
There you
Definitely
go.
for the audience.
I'm
Man.
just gonna
From the
have
beginning.
half an hour of silence now.
Well, it's shocking, Nathan, because nobody we've reviewed how many videos? Nobody has ever came out of the gate, stopped the guy in his tracks, corrected him, and they outright broke it down.
You can't deny that when you saw his name, Alt Skull, you're like, oh, here we go. Horizon rises to eye level, ice walls and ether. You know, it's just, you prepare yourself for the worst, don't you?
Absolutely. And then I'm shocked. With great delight.
Same thing will happen with pitch data. Yeah? More and more people will see that as so much easier to digest than any other argument we've had so far. I think so simple.
Yeah, the same thing will
I had a
happen.
question about
We're the
that.
bad people at FED, and then somebody else is going to come with it, and it's going to be received with joy. Oh, well.
No, that's fine. That's fine. Go on, Adam.
I had a question about the pitch data.
What's your question?
It was I'd heard that they took the pitch data, the incident down like the next day, and I was just wondering if if anybody heard about that.
Yes, I heard that it was claimed it was taken down. Then we checked and it wasn't.
Okay, cool. That's all. Thank you.
It's publicly available data. It's crash report information.
I can't wait to hear that
Nathan,
again.
you saying pitch data is available for every flight? Like anybody can get pitch data?
So, if you go on YouTube, you will find a whole community of people who cover airline accidents and airline incidents. And the available data that they use is this available data. That is to say, it's widely available to the public. So when we got hold of it, the thing that we were most concerned about was there any lives lost in this flight? And there wasn't. There was an engine failure, and they brought the plane in. But obviously it became an investigation because it had a major failure in a very big engine, the biggest as far as I'm aware. So they've investigated it. They found that the hollow fan blades had got a crack in, like several other planes that had had the same accident. No lives were lost. And for the majority of the flight, or at least a good chunk, 2 hours, which is what we needed because it's typically the amount of time that we've been quoting today anyway. Very, very useful that it ended up being 2 hours of uninterrupted flight. But yeah, it's available to the public. Obviously, if you pick a different one where half the crew and passengers are dead, you're not going to want to be using that to say Earth is flat. It's distasteful. This is not. Perfect.
Exactly. After all, we're not animals. Or should I say animal?
Yeah, whatever. Anyway, it's a really easy to understand, backed with official source data, and there's no arguing with the information on that data. It is what it is.
Oh, Nathan, if you remember, before Brian got a hold of it, they were all saying you wouldn't be able to read it anyway.
Well, that is as maybe. Doesn't change what the data is, does it?
Not at all.
Yeah, my only thing is like, given the fact that most people don't get the horizontal, you can't have a horizontal on a sphere. What's a pitch data gonna do to those very same people? You know what I mean? You can't have horizon on a sphere. You can't, like, literally anything that happens in reality doesn't match the sphere. So I'm just wondering, what's a pitch data gonna do to people like that?
QE answered that
Pretty much
yesterday.
nothing. You know, it's
Yeah,
just another flat Earth proof. But
what are they going to do with it?
what
Yeah,
effect is it
QE
gonna
answered
have?
this question, exactly this question yesterday. You said they can't have a horizon on a sphere. You can't have pitch data
Right.
on a sphere.
Sure. So that what I'm saying is, like, those are the people who aren't convinced or who can't get that you can't have horizon on a sphere. Like what's a pitch data gonna do to them? You know what I mean? They're gonna find another apologetics and keep on moving on, right? But yeah, it's another
they've
FE
got
proof, just like
correct.
everything that happens in reality is, like, literally.
There's no seemingly feasible hand wave that they can offer. They have to defy gyroscopic motion in their rebuttal. Oh, okay.
Nathan, so what's the rebuttal for the no horizontal on a sphere? What's their rebuttal?
But no horizontal on a sphere.
Right.
Well, they say it's a single point, don't they?
Is that an
No,
argument? Like,
you
horizontal is a
can't.
point?
Single
Yeah.
point is not. You can't be level.
Well, that's what they say,
That's
though,
what I'm
isn't
saying.
it?
They don't have any rebuttals. It just hand wave dismissals. It's gonna be the same thing with pitch data. You know, people who don't want, who are, yeah. It might help somebody who's, you know, who's on the fence and who's actually looking for the evidence. It just might be another proof or another evidence. But the people who already decided the globers that they're gonna defend the globe for the rest of their lives, I don't think it's gonna do anything. It's just another FE proof, like everything else that happens in reality.
You could
They're
do
gonna come up with another excuse, more apologetics, and that's all there is. Say that again, Neil.
There is nothing you could do with those people.
Yeah,
Let them stay in the
I know.
ball and
That's why.
hang it. But think about logic. You're hanging a picture on the wall. You make a mark. You can't get that level until you get another point to the right or to the left. Put your freaking level on it. That's how you get level. Not
Your
one
mic's a
point.
train wreck.
Sorry.
Sounded muffled, like you were sitting on it or something.
Nah, it's the internet. I'm driving. I'll be quiet.
Well, you're good now.
If I'm good now, what I was saying is, you can't, if you're hanging a picture on a wall, you can't. It's muffled again. What the freak?
We got it. If you're hanging a picture on the wall, you can't do it with 1 point and get it level. You need 2 points. We got it.
What are you saying you ain't getting it for?
I didn't. I
Don't
said your
play with
mic's a
me
train
today.
wreck.
Pissed me off yesterday. Don't piss me off today.
I didn't say I didn't hear you. I said your mic's a train wreck, because it is.
But I'm not even on the speaker. Took it off Bluetooth.
Anyway.
There was a movie I watched over the weekend called The Bigfoot Trap. In the very first scene, they make fun of a flat Earth lady, and they get her to say the word globe, and like, we're all over the globe, and he's like, oh, and I was ready to give up on the movie right there at the beginning, because I was like, I just hate globers, and And then he spends the rest of the movie kind of in this scenario with a Bigfoot hunter, and kind of coming around to believe in Bigfoot. So you get to at the end of the movie, he's trying to prove Bigfoot, and I don't know. At first I really hated the idea, and then by the end it was like, oh, that's his arc. He went from being a douche who's gonna make fun of people who think outside of his view, and at the end he's trying to push a new narrative in himself. So I don't know. I like that.
What's it called?
Aren't a lot of movies like that?
What was the name of the movie?
I'm sorry. It was called The Bigfoot Trap. It was a pretty good movie.
Aren't a lot of movies like that? That, there's a big douche, disbelieves everything, then he finds out to get proven wrong, and that's that.
Yeah, it was a very Steve Gutenberg role.
Yeah, but I just realized, wow, a lot of movies are like that, and yet people still want to role play the douche, even though he always loses in the movies. Huh, interesting. Anyways,
Start the
hey,
show
Muddy, you
early
gonna
so
be
we can
around
hear
today?
that video.
Righteous, did you say something?
Yeah, you gonna be around today?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
All right, I'll just I'll eventually head up on the room above, and I'll just be on standby if you need me. Okay?
Sounds good, bro. I'll let you know.
So Neil, you really excited about that video?
Yes, I want him to start the show now.
Okay. Oh yeah, today's gonna be the QV show too, so it's gonna be like a double header or double play or whatever the term is. It's gonna be a long day. So yeah, don't forget to shout
Let
out
me ask a
QE
question.
Joe for plugin. You on?
Do you think there's any way possible this guy goes off the rails? There's no way coming out of the gate with a statement like that.
Yeah, he may very well go off the rails still, Neil, because well, the other video that we were going to cover shows exactly that. So there's a guy in a different videographer's comment section talking about the second law of thermodynamics. And the guy just goes and looks up what the second law of thermodynamics says, reads it out verbatim, and says, how does that mean space isn't fake? And the same commenter's talking about all sorts of garbage from the Feast of Nonsense, rather than clarifying the answer. So, people with the best of intentions that seem like they've got a grip on the real meat of the argument, often turns out that the rest of their repertoire is actually Feast of Nonsense. So don't be too surprised if it turns out that way.
Are you serious? The guy actually said that? How does that mean space is not fake?
Yeah, like I say, that's a
How
different
about
video.
when Dave Weiss?
We might cover that tomorrow. We were going to cover it today.
How about when Dave Weiss says space makes more sense on flat Earth?
Yeah.
I couldn't believe that shit, man.
Yeah. But there we go. What can you say about that?
Yep.
Take it easy on Dave Weiss. He did not say Earth is flat because you see when it came back with hills and mountains. All right?
Well, maybe there is something what Dave Weiss said because they do say they use a sextant, right? No, I'm just joking. uh,
always the same group of people making us look like idiots. Always the same group of people pushing the feast and nonsense arguments. So, you know, draw your own conclusions.
Is Jaren coming out with anything? I haven't heard from him in a long time. Not that I follow him, but
He's
nobody said
Antarctica
anything about
bound.
it.
He's just Antarctica bound, isn't he? So
I bet.
That
Yeah,
says
I'm
it
just waiting
all.
for the day, guys. Like, I'm waiting for the day when they just come up with some stupid reason to why they're not going. I don't care what the reason is, dude, but I'm just gonna laugh, man. That everybody spent 1 year talking about this nonsense, and in the end, it's gonna be like, oh, we're not going. There's this reason, this and
They're
that,
not
whatever
gonna
it is.
go.
One last time, nobody's going anywhere.
That's
you've
what
said
I
this.
This
said.
is just a
Hold
distraction.
on, it's just a firm mush. You've said this from the start, mush. You've been nothing but consistent. You've said they're not going anywhere. You watch. December will come and they won't
Yep.
go. That's been your position from the start.
Yep. Let's see.
Ju-
Let's
duly
roll it
noted.
out till the end.
Hold on a second. In my position from the start, I said they ain't going anywhere.
Okay.
And then you said, yeah. And then what about these probably trying to scam them all out of money? This good pastor.
Well, there's a lot of money exchanging hands for tickets that seem to cost $15,000, and there's GoFundMe's up for $45,000. Okay. Lots of opportunity to skim off the top of this little endeavour, it seems. It's okay. We'll want to see the receipts, won't we? Like is demanded of us when we do a GoFundMe campaign for anything. We'll want to see the receipts for all of the trips. You say it costs 30 grand. That's how much you raised or were donated, because he didn't pay for it. Let's see it broken down then. Let's see the spreadsheet of exactly what was paid for. Let's see if it did come to 30 grand, and if it didn't, where did the rest of it go? Was it disclaimed
Nathan.
that it was going to stay in your bank, Will? Going to need
No, they need
all
boots,
accounting
they need
for every
gloves.
Oh my God.
Sorry. They need boots, they need gloves, they need jackets, and they need hats, Nathan. 45,000.
I can get all of that from Tesco for about $100.
Yeah, but those are not Antarctica proof.
Whatever. We're going to need to see all accounting for every dime that's spent, won't we? We wouldn't want to know that there's some scammers in our community, you know, especially someone who's claiming to be a priest. No, you'll obviously have the honesty and integrity to gather all this data to show you exactly what the connecting flights that also cost 15 grand cost. And all of the stuff that needed to be put on top, accommodation and travelling costs, apparently. Okay, let's see 15 grand's worth of them for every single passenger. Yeah, unfortunately, for every sod that demanded accounting for every single penny that was ever raised in terms of a GoFundMe that I've done, no worries. Yeah, we can do the same, can't we? Especially when it's huge chunks of money.
I think no one wants to say the word grift right now.
Let's not speak too soon. $15,000 to go down there, according to other agents that arrange trips. And according to Will, it's another $15,000 to facilitate them to be in a position to take a $15,000 trip. So $30,000 for accommodation and connecting flights, according to him. Okay, let's see a receipt for connecting flights and accommodation that totals 15 grand. If not, there's going to be questions. Where's the rest of the money gone? We're not talking about me buying a new graphics card for $300 or $400. We're talking about thousands, if not tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars. Yeah, I'm going to need to see where every single penny went, so we know that there's not a con artist, a scammer, a fraudster. By coincidence, somebody is already being investigated. So, given that that's the case, we're going to need every single dime accounting for.
So it's a lot of money in it to look at a light in the sky that doesn't prove anything about the shape of Earth.
It's a lot of money to go and have a look at some light in the sky. Well, when it's 30 grand a person and there's a couple of dozen potential people going down there, that's a lot of money. Like I say, it's not like a new computer chip.
But don't you think it would have been more powerful if not one flat earther even paid attention to it?
They're all believers. They want to affirm their bias too, Neil. It speaks volumes.
And that's the problem.
Even like Mush said, if they was to cancel the trip, you're still going to get these idiot flat earthers jumping on the fact that, see, they had to cancel it because, they're going to drop themselves in it that way as well, jumping on the bandwagon that way. If you know what I mean.
That's all right. I know I like to refer to this guy, but there's a guy who does computing called Frame Chasers. And throughout all of the fuss and faff with any computer issues that are currently going on, his attitude is, look after yourself. And when he's referring to yourself, he's talking about him and his community. He's like, we haven't got any problems. Everyone in my Discord server's okay. Now, for all the tens of thousands or millions of people that watch the other tech tubers who do a crap job and are given free equipment to do it with and don't really care other than, do I still get the free equipment next time? If you trust them, that's your bad. Yeah? So look after your own community. So long as everybody here knows the score, then I'm happy with that. I can't control Jaron's group of people. Jaron's built his own community. I can't control Dave Weiss's group of people that he's accumulated. Right? But I can make damn sure that my community's looked after, and that's what I will do. Make sure that they know the very best information that there is. And that's all I can do. And shout and promote that fact. My community's all right. Nobody in my community is losing any sleep over the Antarctica trip. Why? Because they already know it's flat. They don't need this to affirm their bias, do they? So we're all right.
That's why we love you, Nathan.
That's why I love me too.
You said Jaron built his own community? Community of what? Clowns?
Doesn't matter. That's the point. I'll give you an example. So this current chip in my computer, right, is failing because Intel have clocked it too high with too little voltage. That's what they've done. Okay. Why have they done that? Well, so they beat the competition on spec sheets. What spec sheets? The ones that the tech tubers produce when they put the piece of software that they use to test every piece of software, every piece of hardware that they ever get. They put the system together, press a button in Cinebench, and then it spits out a number, and they put that on a graph, right? Okay. Well, the producers of the chips know this. So they produce a chip that will spit out a really high number. Now, the detriment to the consumer is that the 1 or 2 cores that boost up to 6 gigahertz or 6.2 gigahertz in some instances at 1.5 freaking volts, well, those chips aren't going to last very long. Okay, well, when this is all kicking off and everyone's moaning that their chips are failing, including myself, but for different reasons, the guy at Frame Chasers is saying, my community's all right. Why? Well, because everybody locks their cores. They don't let a couple of cores boost stupidly high for no good reason. Everyone locks their cores at the maximum that all of them can do safely, at a safe voltage. So everyone in his Discord community have got all of their cores locked at 5.5 or 5.7, and no one's got any problems. Everyone's fine. Why? Well, because they've got a good leader of their community that gives them good advice, and people who come along and say, "You're an idiot." He goes, "I don't care what you think. My community's all right." They're not worried about whether or not we're going to prove the Earth's a sphere because we're uncertain about it and need to go to Antarctica to prove what we thought we already knew, if you're on the ball side, or we need to go to Antarctica to prove that we're on a flat plane in the shape of this azimuthal equidistant projection of a globe. I need to confirm that to get... You're like, okay, well, good for you, lads and lasses. On your way. None of us need that here. None of us have got the slightest bit of concern. We're laughing at it and pointing out fraud. That's what we're doing. Very different tone, isn't it? In this particular corner of the Flat Earth camp. Well, just accept that. You don't have to worry that Dave Weiss's bunch of numpties that follow him want to talk about ice walls and domes and ether and whatever other garbage they're spouting over there. They'll look stupid when they parrot that, won't they? This guy gets asked about his, that we're going to cover today, gets asked about his flat earth belief, and he stops the guy in his tracks and says, I don't have a belief in flat earth. That's how it's measured. That's how it's navigated. That's how it's mapped, charted, flown across. That's what he said. You're like, well, that's the right answer, isn't it? And him saying that means that I can tell by his tone that he's not worried about correcting the guy. He's not apprehensive about it. He just wants the record set straight. Don't consider me a believer in anything. I know it's flat. You're the one with a belief. Good for you. I said it straight away. You're like, does he watch the show? Yeah, absolutely. That's a guy who watches the show and has gone, yeah, I like the sound of that. Why? Well, because it is the case. And who's going to argue with me? Not only that, look at the level of confidence in him. Well, how does that sound? How did it sound to me? I got a woohoo from Neil. Yeah, well, that's what I was doing internally. Now, how does it make that guy, Alt Skull, sound when he corrects the host on having a flat
Nathan,
earth
we can't
belief?
hear you, bro. You're roboting really bad.
Me? I'm roboting.
Last couple of minutes was inaudible. Can't hear anything.
Really?
Oh, I thought it was me.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we can't hear you guys. You're roboting.
I
can hear
okay?
you fine. So cheap.
No, you're fine. It's Discord. Okay. Just give me a minute.
How are you? How are you? How are you?
Good morning. Good morning.
Hello.
I'm good. You need to give me just a couple more seconds between the welcome one and all and your reply, so I've got enough time to hit the record button for the Uncut and After show. Anyway, it's good. We've got an abundance of videos today, so for whatever reason we've somehow got behind. I didn't know there would be a queue forming for videos to respond to, but as it's happened, that's how it's worked out. We've got a queue of videos that we need to get through, and they're all worthy of our time responding to. Some of them are from bigger YouTubers, some of them are from completely unknown YouTubers because they're not on YouTube. But anyway, we'll get to those shortly. In the meantime, let's do a bit of housekeeping. Any evidence of a physical geometric sphere-edge horizon formerly known as the curve of the Earth?
Negative. Play the video.
We're going to do a couple of housekeeping questions now. We also need to keep in mind that we need to develop a new housekeeping question, right? Speaking to you, Brian.
It's that
Brian.
question.
Yeah, it needs to be a housekeeping question. So yesterday, QE said something quite profound, right? You know, he says things like, Mush was pointing this out in the pre-show, you can't have a horizon on a globe. Everyone agree? No point in asking if you agree, it's rhetorical. QE said the same thing about pitch data. You can't have pitch data on a globe. And he's absolutely correct, isn't he?
Yep.
Right, this needs to be a housekeeping question. Any evidence you can have pitch data on a globe?
No, but I think we should have a think about. No, but I think we should have a think about how we word it.
Oh, absolutely. I'm not suggesting that should be the housekeeping question. I'm just saying that should be the housekeeping question. It might be.
It might be, but
yeah. But it needs consideration, is what I'm saying. It needs to be something that is celebrated. You know, there's a reason we ask, is there any evidence of a molten iron core or self-perpetuating molten iron core? It's because it was the very first question that put a glober in the corner where they couldn't overcome the question. It's the original housekeeping question, if you will. Paul Voigt was asked, is there any evidence of a self-perpetuating molten iron core at the centre of a presupposed spherical Earth? And he went, I'll be right back. 6 years ago.
Yeah, but something's a cut and dry. The way you said it was perfect. That's all you need.
No, Neil, because the general public won't know what you mean by pitch data. You have to at least add in the word aircraft pitch data or airliner pitch data. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, so it'd be something along the lines of...
perfect for us.
Yeah, it'd be something along the lines of, is there any evidence that an aircraft could maintain a angle above horizontal on a globe? Or something like that. You know, it's something something like that.
No, that's more than you need. It's more like, would there be any need or something? Would there be any requirement for pitch data on a globe or something like that?
Yeah.
Or is there any evidence that pitch data would be required on a globe? I don't know.
Or any evidence that pitch data is compatible with a globe. Something like that. There's lots of possibilities for how this could be phrased as a housekeeping question. But it needs to be demarcated, is that the correct word? A point in history, a pin needs to be put here. And that pin needs to be a housekeeping question.
Why would aircraft pitch data exist
if Earth was a globe? Yeah. Why would pitch data? Yeah. It's got to allude to the very fact that it exists versus a globe. So would there be any requirement for the existence of pitch data if Earth was a sphere? Or something like that. Again, it's going to need refinement, but you get the general gist of what we're suggesting. It needs something to celebrate it, and that's what housekeeping questions are. They're a celebration of each individual aspect. You know, molten iron cores and sphere-edge horizons are an ongoing saga in globe Earth belief, and we can point out that belief has been overcome multiple times to the point where we now keep house with those questions. Well, the best questions should have a housekeeping remark or mark, so that people don't forget this particular point.
It's a bit like
the best question should fall under housekeeping. Correct.
It's a bit like that thing from that movie, A Few Good Men. It's like if Santiago was supposed to be transferred off of the base, then why wasn't Santiago transferred off at the base or something like that?
And why would you need to... If you ordered that Santiago wasn't to be touched and your orders are always followed, then why would it be necessary to transfer him off the base?
It'd be, I pitched that a question connected, like something like that. Because it's like, why would pitch data? Why would aircraft pitch data exist if we lived on a globe? It's kind of that's cut and dried, isn't it?
Yeah. We were using that Santiago in A Few Good Men example for Antarctica, actually. So basically, if you know Earth is flat, then there's no need to go and affirm whether or not we have a phenomena of the sun for 24 hours in Antarctica. Same applies to the globe. Yeah, why would you need to go down and affirm that Earth is a sphere in Antarctica if you know Earth's a sphere?
Why you keep saying down?
Because that's what their terminology dictates, antipodal positioning.
You're taking that position. I got you.
No, you are right to criticise me for it. I should point it out. When I say down to Antarctica, why would I go along the 2015 through 2023 idea of begging their antipodal assumption alongside them? Just by saying it, by pure fiat, I'm introducing their antipodal assumption without noting it, Neil. So you're right to call me on it.
What about this? Although this might not fit, but what about, why would aircraft pitch data show a constant above horizontal if the Earth's a globe?
That's good.
Ooh.
Why would the pitch data show a constant, what would you call it, angle of attack? Why would an aircraft have a constant positive angle of attack with respect to horizontal if Earth is a sphere?
Well, yeah, it's like, yeah, I reckon don't make it too complicated. It'll be hard to remember it. But yeah, it's something that you're going to be able to remember though easy because.
Oh, thanks.
You're the one
We
that's
need to
going be
keep it
saying
nice and simple so Nathan can remember it. Gee, thanks.
No, I mean something that you will remember. It doesn't matter.
But you will remember.
Yeah, because you're the one that's going to be saying it. It's on your show, whether I'm there or
I'm a trained actor. Remembering things is not an issue. Scripts specifically. What happened yesterday, that's a different story.
Why would...
Brian, I think...
Go on, Monday.
Sorry, mate. I was just saying, I think that's when I was asking you yesterday, something condensed. That's what I was sort of thinking. Once we get this housekeeping question, that's what I was sort of looking for when I was asking you for a condensed breakdown. Something we can just ask the opponent in a simplified manner, just to get the point straight across with ease. I don't know why I just didn't say, should we make an housekeeping question?
Well, the most concise statement was made by QE yesterday.
I would have understood that.
QE summed it up. You can't have pitch data on a globe. There is no more concise summary. There is no more concise statement of fact. There is no truer statement that could be uttered in this regard. You can't have pitch data on a globe. QE got it right. Now, we're trying to dress it up and flower it up a bit to make it a housekeeping question. In reality, there's no need. Yeah. QE's done it, right? What's the statement? You can't have pitch data on a globe. End of statement.
It's not a question, though.
No, and in a way, that's kind of a problem. I'm glad you've identified it quickly. I was going to get there before we transition to the video. It's not a question anymore, is it?
No, that's the problem. You see, the
How about based on that statement?
No, these are statements of fact.
How about this? Is there any evidence? Is there any evidence you can have a pitch data on a globe?
That's where I began. I mean, we're going around in circles now. We've come full circle. But yes, I do believe we've got to refine it into a way that can be offered up to a globe believer because it is a sticky wicket. It is something that would leave them in cognitive dissonance. There is no rebuttal, and it does have a statement of fact that can be made. You can't have pitch data on a globe. So therefore, if we can turn that into a question that can be put to our opponent in the vein of flat Earth debate to date, and I say it with a slightly heavy heart because that era's over, right? Why are we asking housekeeping questions? Well, to keep house in terms of where we've got the debate to. In 2024, answer me this. Is there a debate?
No, there isn't.
No.
It's more just historical.
Yeah.
And informative.
Exactly. Now, don't get me wrong. From a nostalgic point of view, I have no issue keeping the housekeeping or the name of the show exactly as it was. There's no issue with that. Well, if you say, well, doesn't that contradict the fact that you're saying there is no debate? Well, no. For the majority of the Western world, they've not come across what we do. We're heavily censored. And if they do come across the subject, they'll come across the feast of nonsense. Therefore, the housekeeping questions serve their purpose. And potentially always will if nothing ever changes. Like I say, anybody who comes here, hears those questions and recognises the awful truth of their current paradigm. Those questions highlight the awful truth. For those who are still in the belief they're on a globe. Now, for us, it's a totally different ballgame in 2024. It's slowly changed to how it is now, but I like to put markers on it that are definable by date. We've got the year of the Black Swan and the year of the elevation angle. Well, in this instance, we're in a period where there's no contention anymore. There's a good reason why the audience, this community, my community, that I'm very, very proud of, loses no sleep over the subject. We all know it's the case. You see why this was going to be my transition, Brian. We've got a video to cover today. So the video we're going to be covering, not that one.
I just asked something.
You can right in the middle of my slick transition. You go ahead, one deck.
Hold on, I got something too.
It was to Brian. Brian, did you not ask for pitch data information? Did you?
I asked Wolfie and anyone I could ask. I even asked my friend's friend, who was a captain, who didn't even know it was a flat earther. So yeah, I've asked anyone I could ask it.
Yeah, but I mean, is that what you've received?
Yeah, I did. I got what I was looking for.
Not from Wolfie.
So you've got
Not from Wolfie.
Yeah,
I didn't
but
get
so
it
what
from
I'm saying
Andy.
is,
I didn't get it from Wolfie or anyone. No. Why?
so you have received pitch data then, yeah? Information.
I have it, Jeff. Yeah, I have it, Jeff.
Just for clarity, right?
Yeah.
Just for brevity and for
Don't
the
know what you-
audience's
what you mean.
benefit. Yes, hold on, everyone else, stop. Yes, pitch data was received. However, it is readily publicly available data. Okay?
Well,
What I'm trying to say is, we can't say, but Dre, we can't say you can't get pitch data on a go. You've just received pitch data. It's the information within that data, isn't it, that we're looking at?
No, that is
Not
the data within the documentation is called the pitch data. It's the data about pitch. Shout out to Tom. He says, to help Nathan remember, it should rhyme and use counting. Very funny, Tom. Thank you for the super chat.
Hold on, this goes into what I was saying. I'm right on target with you, One Deck. So you're basically saying the fact that we have pitch data proves Earth is flat.
Yes.
Yeah, of course it does. The fact that I was able to get what's known as pitch data, airplane flight data, and part of that data is the pitch data, and it's specifically called, as Nathan said, the pitch data. The fact that I could get that and that exists means the Earth is not a globe.
Exactly. Yeah, we're calling it pitch data like an umbrella term that is like for the documentation. No, what we've received is documentation.
You're breaking up again, guys.
Sorry, you're getting horrible connection. Yeah, I've got a computer issue. Hopefully it's going.
It sounds fine to me.
Yeah, it sounds fine to you. Just not sound fine to Discord for whatever reason. I could reset my voice meter. Hold on a second. Check. There we go. Is that any better? In Discord?
Yep.
Yeah,
Okay.
for now. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep, fixed now.
Weird voice meter banana when there's twitchy stuff going on the computer will resolve that sort of audio issue if I restart it in Discord. I've not touched any of the Discord settings, but yeah, that's fixed it. I don't know. I've got a twitchy computer. I thought it was hardware. I was moaning on yesterday's pre-show saying, I think my graphics card's failing. Actually, it probably isn't. It's probably just a software issue. I think I've got a corrupt Windows install. But I'm just guessing. It could be bloody anything. I have no idea, if I'm ruthlessly honest. I'm just guessing. Anyway, let's get on with the show. I shouted out Tom for the super chat, and then where were we? That completely threw me off.
On pitch data.
Pitch data, I think.
Yeah, we were calling it pitch data like it's an umbrella term. It's been supplied to the NTSB for investigation into a faulty engine. So an engine failure, mid-air engine failure. So these absolutely enormous jets are right on the very tippy edge of efficiency versus size and weight. And in order to overcome that, they've lightened certain components, specifically the blades in the engine, by hollowing them out, and they suffer fatigue cracks. They used to use sonar or X-ray or whatever to scan them. And they didn't do a sufficient enough job at scanning and locating the fatigue cracks in these hollowed out fin blades in these engines. One of them failed in midair after 2 solid hours of flight. Now, within all of the data that the flight recorder gathers, including pitch data, that information was supplied to the NTSB so that they could do their investigation into that information. What's the pitch of the aircraft with respect to the horizontal plane of reference used in the data? How high are they with respect to sea level? What is the plane doing? What are the vibrations? Etc., etc., etc. All of that information is on multiple graphs, one of which is pitch data. So don't take it as like an umbrella term for all the information that the NTSB were given by the airliner in light of the incident. So that data is what we've gathered from NTSB because they make it publicly available. If you're familiar with the YouTubers that make videos about airline disasters, that's where they get the information from. We've just used the same information that's publicly available and typically used to talk about why there was a particular mid-air crash, flight failure, whatever, air crash investigation style videos. Well, we're using one that hasn't had any souls lost during the incident. Everybody survived. Nobody died. Nobody got hurt. So for us, it's just great. We will ignore all of the information that was useful to the NTSB and simply look at the 2 hours of flight with respect to a horizontal plane with the nose above horizontal the entire time. That's it. That's all we needed. Coincidentally, in multiple presentations made by Adam, Brian, and Quantum Eraser, they typically referenced 2 hours, presumably for easy maths, when they're giving their examples, hypothetically. And until now, it has just been that. Hypothetically, a plane would have to dip its nose around the curve of the Earth, and it doesn't. And then Adam presented his accelerometer data that he took on a flight. Now we've got pitch data to back the evidence that, as sarcastic as some people have been towards D. Marble, it backs what he showed with his spirit level. As crude as it may seem, that's what the pitch data is showing. It's validating what both Adam Meakin and Daryl Marble did 8 years ago.
Yep. Because Kiwi's mathematics were based around 2 hours of flight. 2 hours. 500 miles an hour of flight for 2 hours, which makes up 1,000 miles.
Yeah, easy numbers.
Adam's data was based on 2 hours of flight at cruising altitude on a plane he was on that he got from the accelerometer.
Right, England to Italy.
And I detailed after those two presentations, I detailed in my section the lift effect, right? Which is the reason why they must keep an above horizontal pitch. And then the whole lot was supported by the pitch data itself and altitude data.
Yeah, it's a trifecta of aceness in terms of there's no way around it. Every single avenue has been covered from the outset when this information's been presented to the public for the first time. Awesome.
Unless
I like that trifecta.
Yeah, unless horizontal changes its own orientation in relation to itself.
Yeah, I said that in the pre-show. I was trying to explain when Mush was asking, well, what's their hand wave going to be? I'm like, well, their hand wave has to deny gyroscopic orientation in principle. That is to say, being rigid in space. Meh. No. Useful aspect of a gyro much? No, it doesn't do that. It moves around a ball, and so does the aircraft. And net result is zero effect that you'd notice. That's why the pitch data shows a flat Earth. Obviously, it means it's a globe. That's their hand wave. So the gyro moves around the Earth and defies its gyroscopic principle, does it? Yep. And the plane moves around the gyro that's attached to it with the cage to the point that no difference is noted and nothing's to be seen. Yep. Therefore, ball.
Well, actually, what they said is actually even more ridiculous. Their actual hand wave is more ridiculous. It just involves what they're saying about gyros. Even that whole gyro thing, I showed how ridiculous it was in reality and how it's impossible. But the point being is that their actual rebuttal is that if everyone right now stands up, or you could do it just hypothetically in your mind, stand up and make a horizontal, let's say with just a roy line or with your arm or something, right? Then take one step forward and then do another one. Those two horizontals are at a different pitch to each other in relation to horizontal. That's what they're claiming.
Yeah, defying the principle of horizontal. Well, you need horizontal to describe that difference, don't you?
Exactly.
Yeah, that's how ridiculous it is.
It's ludicrous. Yeah, they're into defying geometric axioms and principles to get around their sphere belief that's been defied. It's like, it's there on the data. Earth's flat. There's no getting around this, lads. Okay, right, we're going to cover this video.
Hold on, one deck put a list together and they violated. Well, let's get to the video, man.
Well, 1 second. I just want to point out that YouTube, on my level video that I made yesterday, YouTube stopped the views, the view counter for a while. So the views stopped, and then they started up again. YouTube was just blocking the views for whatever length of time, and then they started up again. And now the comments are more than the views. I have like 60 or 70 comments more than the views, which can't happen really, can it? If you think about it, that seems to be a trend on my videos at present. That YouTube are causing the comments to outnumber the views. Like anyone who just looks at those stats are going to be, hey, what's going on? Because the level video is directly connected to the pitch video, to the presentation. I don't mention it, but it's directly connected. Because if they're claiming level as anything but two-dimensional, you know.
Yeah, no, I totally get it. Okay, we are definitely going to move across this video now. So, although it's not on YouTube, how do you share on Rumble? Okay, so I'll put a link to the video that we're covering. Please let the videographer know. Nathan Oakley 1980 on YouTube sent me, so that they are aware that we have covered their video. I'm going to take this back about 30 seconds, and we're going to start. There is a fair bit of blurb from the producer and the two characters that run this show. The show is Subreddit Surfing with Vinny and Cardiff something. So that's the show, and the name of this particular video is r/Flat Earth with special guests Mark Sargent and Alt Skull. Hopefully, I've rewound it to approximately the correct point to pick up the action. You'll know why we're playing it pretty quickly.
With people, right?
Yeah. Well, I'll get something out of the way
Please.
first. I don't believe in flat Earth.
Okay.
I know the Earth is flat. I know. The Earth is flat because every single measure that we use to calculate what Earth is, that is, how we navigate it, how we build on it, how we fly, how we navigate the ocean, how maps are made, are all created using flat Earth measurements. So the belief side of it is actually the heliocentric people. These are the people who have a religious belief, and I don't need a belief. I can measure the Earth, and it's going to be flat every single time.
You're confident your science is the science. Like,
that's where we got to in the pre-show, right? So, boom, Alt Skull, our hats are off. Right, that was the best response you could have possibly given. Tell us about your flat Earth belief. I don't have one. Earth's measured, navigated, charted, flown upon, sailed upon, flat. I can prove it because I can measure it. Those measurements will always be flat. And you, sir, are the one with a globe belief, not me. You have a belief, not I. Excellent response. Couldn't have said it better myself. Any comment?
Yeah, what was...
That was brilliant.
So your science is better than my science?
Yeah, I was going to say that's what we don't know what we're still cold to this video. So although I have heard that in the pre-show, you'll obviously be hearing this again if you've watched the pre-show. But that's where we got to. So this is now, we don't know what he's going to say next.
I guess is what you're saying.
Well, it's not even science, right? Because science is something where you observe a phenomenon and then you...
This guy's freaking awesome. Bravo. Just bravo.
Right.
There's no testing.
Music to the ears.
Right? It's just an observation.
So your chartography...
He's straight up on his mic, this guy. Right up on his mic. Triggered immediately. Talking through the guy. He's giving you your answer. Yeah? You interrupted him and asked him about his science. He corrected you. Now you're up on your mic, talking louder, talking over him. Man, that didn't take long.
Confident your science is the science, I guess is what you're saying.
Well, it's not even science, right? Because science is something where you observe a phenomenon and then you test the phenomenon. There's no testing a shape, right? It's just an observation.
So your chartography is the chartography.
It is. All my...
Go ahead, just spell.
Nah, sorry, it's Discord. It unmuted me.
Oh, okay. No worries.
Maps are flat. The globe itself is based on flat Earth measurements. So I don't know if you guys want to get right into that or you want to talk about like...
I'm going to introduce our second guest. I'm going to bring him in, and we're gonna get to all of this tonight. We're gonna have a fun, healthy roundtable.
Now that is how you do an intro. That is how you open. I don't think I could top that. Anybody think they could have done a better opener than that?
He's ace.
No, but I mean, I think we're all. Is with us. It's just exactly what we would be saying. That this is what we're doing. This is it.
It's nearly like he's a paid person who's in there to say those things, and then possibly get something wrong and look bad.
Brian, straight to the Shiltard conspiracy theory. I love it. No, I think he's just a viewer of the show, has recognised what we do here and the strength of it, and has realised that that is the way to open up this discussion. Do you believe in flat Earth? No, it's not a belief, it's a measurement. All right, so your science it's not science, it's maths. That's the best opener he could have possibly done. He's responded to everything that's been put to him and corrected the host. I couldn't have done it better myself. Kudos.
Cardiff, please introduce your guest.
Yeah, so as I said, this next guest, I believe I first was the first experience I had with the flat Earth phenomenon, syndrome, theory, fact. Again, we're not judging tonight. We're going to find out we're going to find the answers tonight, Vinny.
You just gave them you. It's measured flat. Your ball came from those measurements. You already found it out. It's been summarized quite eloquently, I would have said.
But the Netflix, Amazon Prime documentary Behind the Curve from the @Mark Sargent YouTube channel, with a couple more subscribers than we have over here on Rumble, if you don't mind me saying, Vinny. Over 105,000 subs over there. @Mark Sargent, Flat Earth Army Captain, I believe.
Let's just say Flat Earth Advocate. How about that?
Okay. You were
tell me Mark Sargent's coming on. Holy moly!
And by the way, man, I don't know why you think you need me, Mr. Skull here. What is it, Alt Skull? Alt Skull. He's preaching. He's going to church with this. He's saying all the right things. So
have you met before? Have you two met?
No. Anybody not a fan of Mark Sargent? Everyone likes Mark. What can I say, Mark? Okay. Everyone likes you.
No.
We're bringing two giants of the flat Earth community together tonight on Subreddit Surfing here on Rumble exclusively. It's amazing.
Well, it really is a pleasure to have you, Mark. I know you've put your beliefs out there to a lot of different places. We were just talking to Old Skull. I believe you heard it. How do you go through your everyday life with people knowing you from YouTube and stuff like that as the flat Earth guy? Do a lot of people try to challenge you and argue with you?
Sure. Why wouldn't you? Everybody, and Alt Skull knows all this stuff backwards and forwards. Probably some of the stuff better than me. Everybody challenges it right off the bat. In fact, one of our T-shirts reads, "I became a flat earther because I tried to disprove it or debunk it or whatever you want to call it."
Mark Sargent made it into the book yesterday. So, as weird as it sounds, we're writing the book in a bizarre order, so we're going through various sections of it. And yesterday we were doing the very first chapter, which is a bit confusing because you keep trying to, or I did while I was writing it, or rewriting it as the case may be, was trying to include various aspects of chapters that had already been written. And you're like, no, it's supposed to be sort of an introduction to those concepts that get more detailed as you get into each of the chapters for each specific thing that you might mention in this opening chapter. One of the things is obviously how I came to the subject, and the specifics of it is being tied in on this chapter that's about Narnia. So if you're familiar with how we deal with fundamentalist religious zealots, let's just say it, on the show, we'll often draw a comparison with the sky vacuum and Narnia and be describing how we don't traverse through a wardrobe into a magical land of snow and Turkish delights in the same way we don't traverse high pressure gas, wave goodbye at the Kármán line and enter a second law of thermodynamics violation sky vacuum. You know, the two are comparable in that regard. They're both fantasy lands. So I'm explaining this along with Adam encouraging me to describe to the reader of the book when they get it, how that all began sort of an earlier origin. And what came to my mind was Mark's description, which tallies with mine, just subtly different in terms of our acquaintance with the blue marble. So I'll just indulge you now, although this, as I say, is part of the book. Mark's story was that he was installing a network or working on a network. I can't remember which, but he had an involvement with a network that had just been installed. And he thought, as the network manager or whatever it was, it would be a nice idea to have the blue marble on the lock screen of the network, like on the iPhone. And he thought, oh, well, I'll get a better picture, a different picture, not the one that's on the iPhone. So he starts looking to see if he can find an alternative to put on this network, and he can't. All he gets is the 1969 Blue Marble, or whatever year it is. That Blue Marble picture is all that's available at the time he's searching for this network. Now, coincidentally, at about the same time, I got the computer that ended up running this show. It was brand new to me at the time, and I thought the same thing. I'd like to put, although not exactly the same as Mark, I wanted real-time weather data. So I wanted to see Earth from space and see the clouds going over it. I'm like, well, it's not exactly a tall order, right? There's a bazillion satellites up in orbit. Why wouldn't I be able to get it? So when you come across the exact same thing that Mark Sargent did, you're like, something's not right here. Why can't I get this data? Why isn't there a whole bunch of websites that are all just broadcasting what it looks like from up in the sky? Surely lots of people want that. Why haven't we got it? So just wanted to drop that in at this stage, as Mark and I have a similar story in that regard when searching the Blue Marble just prior to coming to Flat Earth.
Everybody starts out in the negative because it is the only conspiracy, if you want to call it that we teach to children. Right? We don't teach children about any other fill-in-the-blank conspiracy, but when you're in a kindergarten, first grade, it's like, oh yeah, by the way, we used to think the Earth was flat, but now it's a globe, and here's this little spinny blue toy we're going to put in the corner of your classroom. We're going to leave it there for 12 years. And that conditioning, I mean, that's top dollar. CIA pays top money for that sort of conditioning. And when you graduate from high school, by that time you're cooked, for the most part. And so, yes, everybody pushes against it. Everybody.
Well, shows what you know, Mark. I didn't retain shit from high school. So,
and it's a bit of a stereotyping fallacy. Can't let Mark off the hook with things like this if we wouldn't let our own off the hook. Well, I didn't actually have that reaction. I didn't challenge it. What flashed through my mind was all of the trips I'd made on planes and questioned why I couldn't go higher to see the curve that wasn't apparent from 30 or 40,000 feet. So when I had Matt Powerland talking about the subject, I didn't react badly. It was kind of like a eureka moment. I went and woke my wife up in the middle of the night and said, that's flat. It wasn't me bracing against it. It was a realization in an instant. So that stereotyping fallacy is typically true, but not always. Did someone want to add something? Did someone come off their mic?
Yeah, I fought against it. I went the opposite way. I did fight against it.
Yeah, 99 times out of 100, Mark's right with this stereotype.
Do you remember the globe in your class?
It was in there.
See, it was there. You knew it was,
All
it
right.
was in there, and you don't even have to bring it up again. They just put it in the corner of the classroom and let kids spin it every once in a while when they're bored.
Fair enough.
But yeah, everyone tries to push against it, and the community, which is why we have such a high retention rate. Because I don't tear down the globe. I don't convince you or persuade you. I just put the idea in your head. You have to do your own research, and you're the one that has to tear it down yourself. So if you're the one that ends up going to the flat Earth on your own, how can you rebuild it? You can't. It's sort of the red pill, blue thing, which is why we mentioned the Matrix so many times.
See, here's what can I interject
go ahead,
because you said something.
Again, I don't mean to be hypocritical, but there was a red pill, blue pill reference that we were looking at in the book, and we're like, let's get rid of all these Matrix references. Let's just ditch them. Sorry, Mark. Please buy my book.
Interesting to me. And again, we're just having conversations tonight, but I've never liked the approach to something like this where you have to go do your own research because, I'm hearing from Old Skull, there's no debate in this. It is what it is. All these maps are made this way. Why do I have to go learn that? Can't somebody just show me?
And we do. We've got. I mean, come on. I've been doing this now for 9+ years, and there is 9+ years of content out there from all sorts. You don't have to do your own research. I could give a grocery list of links for you. You could just watch it and see for yourself. And then.
Okay, yeah, so he's right, but it's only recently that Mark's rhetoric might have to change as a result of being sat next to Alt Skull. So, I mean, this guy is turning out to be considerably more influential than he might have first appreciated, because what Mark said then was true up until the start of 2024. Again, I'm being very specific about the date just for ease. Right? So 2024 rolls round and the rhetoric changes. It's now not go and do your own research. It's whether or not you believe you are on a globe is inconsequential to me and my community, because we all know it's flat. That's how it's measured. So you can believe whatever the bloody hell you like. You believe you're on a globe. Good for you. I know where your globe came from. The measurements that created that belief you hold. I know that. So I don't have any necessity to tell you to go and do your own research if you don't want to believe in a flat earth, because there's no belief in flat earth. There's plenty of flat earth believers that don't know it's flat, but that's not us. And it certainly isn't this Alt Skull guy. Awesome.
And if you're still not convinced, then you can go to a body of water or whatever and shoot the laser or do a long distance test or, you know, shoot with a long distance camera and do whatever you want. You don't have to do your own research. Heck with it. Be lazy, man.
Okay.
So
you got it. I will.
Doing your own research, as far as flat Earth is concerned, would involve actually conducting tests on your own. If you try and do your own research by going to the normal search engines, you're not going to get a view of what flat Earth is that's accurate, right? Google's going to take you to all the debunking channels. You've got the anti-flat earthers who actually don't even believe in the globe. They have to come up with their own excuses for why all of the globe problems exist, and then they, you know, come up with things like what, you know, how gravity works and like why gravity holds air to a ball and why we never see Coriolis effect in practical.
It's a shame so many people struggle with the most common teeth and gum problems when
That is a problem. Oops.
And so, you know, when you do your own research, you're not going to get it on the internet. You're not going to get a fair shake.
As I search, sorry, as I search flat Earth right now in YouTube, it's giving me a Wikipedia community note. Right under the search.
Let me bring that up really fast. That's us, by the way. The fact that there are now wiki entries underneath videos, you're welcome. That's us. That's why that happened.
Don't be so happy to wear that as a badge of honor. They're so annoying.
No. I remember when the Senate hearing, they did a special Senate hearing in D.C.
What a coincidence.
Know how you're dealing with all these conspiracy theorists on your platform.
So the first way is by demoting low quality content and promoting more authoritative content. And
So low quality content. So me talking about the scientific method, empiricism, and measurements. Oh, that's definitely low quality content. What's the alternative? The high quality, promoted, favored content. Oh, that'd be Simon Dan saying that we're idiots. That's the favored content. Now, what's another way of saying that? I like her Orwellian phrasing, obviously. What does she really mean? We'll censor it.
the second is by providing more transparency for users. So we're introducing boxes that provide factual information at the top of results that have shown themselves to turn up a lot of information that is counterfactual, such as searching for the earth is flat on YouTube, where you see a lot of...
Your response is to put a box saying, nope, the earth is not flat.
Correct.
Okay.
And they were going over when Google bought YouTube, right? They changed some of the rules and they said, okay, there's certain things we're going to flag as just official misinformation, which is a weird term in itself. And because of that, we're going to put a wiki entry to what we think is true underneath those things. And we were the first topic for that to happen. So every pro flat earth video, if YouTube eventually finds it, puts a wiki link directly under the video where that didn't used to happen. And it is fascinating. And you get the old term, there you go. And you can click on that. It's like, it'll take you to wiki and say, flat earth's an archaic and scientifically disproven. Oh God. Yeah. All that's.
Yeah. So what?
Yeah, they don't do that for. So, yeah, they don't do that for.
And again, that's a military term. You don't catch flak unless you're over the target. The fact that Google spent time and made a decree, a policy decree to put that in there. Oh yeah. That lets you know. I mean, come on. What other conspiracy can you even say that about? The other ones, it's like, you can bury that in the desert.
COVID.
Are we allowed to even talk about that here?
On Rumble, yes.
Oh, okay,
Who
good.
gives a shit?
But I think Alt Skull was about to say if you search Round Earth on YouTube, you don't get a community note, and that is absolutely correct. There's no community note on Round Earth.
There's no community note for Bigfoot. There's no community note for gray aliens. There's no community note for reptilians, but you sure as hell get one for flat Earth.
Absolutely, you do.
So I want to.
Seems to me.
This is a really good discussion. Right, so I'll share the link again to this. So, I mean, how much of it we get through today is we'll find out, I guess. But there is other videos that I do want to cover. But I'll encourage you to actually, check this out. I'll put a link to the original video. So let them know at Nathan Oakley 1980 sent me with a polite comment, or at Nathan Oakley 1980 on YouTube. Hopefully they'll do a response and put a link to my video, helping us in the YouTube algorithmic love that we definitely don't receive as is being discussed.
To me, that they keep putting these out there for things in regards to science.
Yes, science, otherwise known as scientism, because it really is their own religion. When Neil Tyson, one of the only 3 media scientists in the world that anyone ever talks to, Michio Kaku from Japan being one of the others, and Brian Cox from the UK. And when Neil Tyson says science is right, whether or not you believe in it, that is one of the most arrogant things I've ever heard outside of Kanye.
Arrogant and correct. It's just not correct for him. So when he says science is right, whether you believe in it or not, it is true if you've followed the scientific method and have an empirical outcome. He doesn't. So you're half right. It is arrogant for him when he isn't using the scientific method. A more accurate statement would be, our pseudoscience is right whether you like it or not. That's what he's actually saying. But there's this convolution between real, actual advancement of humanity with science, the empirical method thereof, and what people like Neil deGrasse Tyson utilize the word science alongside, which are their just so stories, make-believes and fantasies derived from church rhetoric that's about 500 years old. Now, their science isn't science, and it gets decried as scientism by people like Mark, rightly so, but you don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. Science is just a method for establishing the cause of an effect you've observed in nature. That's all it does.
Yeah, but I think what Neil deGrasse Tyson was saying was a little bit different. What he was saying is, if I say it, it's a fact. End of story. Because I'm a scientist.
Yes.
That's what he was really saying.
Absolutely correct. When he utilizes the word of science, he's using it to bolster his just so stories as a priest of scientism in Mark's vernacular. But scientism isn't actually science, even though that's what it's being called. So there's a danger that we can throw the baby out with the bathwater when we say, well, it's just scientism. No, they're hijacking the term science to peddle pseudo-science just so stories.
Yeah, it keeps people like Neil deGrasse Tyson in a position where whatever he says goes, whether it's correct or not, no matter what rebuttal someone has to it or what someone has to say. If he says it, it must be true because he's, I suppose, a scientist, which he's not. But yeah, same thing.
That's what I wanted to say, man. He has no degrees in any of the science fields. He's an actor.
Right.
And did he compare him to Kanye for some reason? Like, I didn't get that. What was that all about?
I don't know.
Well, I'd just like to say, it doesn't matter if you have degrees or not. Like you can do science just by following the scientific method. And you might never have a degree or have anything else, but if you follow the scientific method correctly, then you've done science. It's basically that simple. You know, you don't have to have a degree to do science. Look at Anthony O'Reilly, sure.
Somebody sent me some of the replies from the guy we covered yesterday. And his response was first to call me a scammer. It's like, oh, how original. Okay, I'm not a scammer, I'm a family man making a living on YouTube. Not a scammer, but that just tells me that he's scared shitless. The guy from yesterday. He also, on top of calling me a scammer, said that he was an environmental scientist. That's what he said. Like, I'm an environmental scientist. You're like, oh yeah, is that what you invested when you went to university? Is it? Okie dokie. Yeah, name the 3 constituent parts of a scientific hypothesis. Go. Let's see how you get on.
2.
The guy from
2.
yesterday.
3. 2.
The guy from
Scientific
yesterday.
hypothesis. Yeah, well, you said 3. It's 2. You misspoke.
3 constituent parts.
No, 2.
IV, DV, CV.
No. A hypothesis only has an IV and DV. CV is part of the scientific method.
So you're suggesting that you could simplify it so far as to just ask for 2 constituent parts of a hypothesis?
Yeah, there's only 2. The CV is part of the test of the hypothesis.
No, I suppose you're right. It's part of the by defining IV and DV, everything else that sits outside of those 2 things becomes a control variable. So therefore,
well, it's part of the test, isn't it?
Yeah, it's part of the apparatus would be to exclude everything else in the apparatus. That is to say that everything else becomes a control variable. So it kind of goes without saying. Yeah, you're right. What are the 2 constituent parts of a scientific hypothesis? Mr. Environmental Scientist from yesterday's video who claims I'm a scammer. Oh, what an outrage. Nothing that we said was incorrect when we critiqued him yesterday, was it? Didn't call him a scammer. No. Typical baller response.
Ridiculous. It's like,
science is like a flower.
Yeah, science. Basically, when we stamp it as science, that's fact. That's something you can count on. It's like, well, yeah, until you're wrong, and then you have to redo it and make a whole new stamp, and they never apologize for it ever.
Yeah, exactly, Mark. What they're calling science is potentially wrong, and if it was science, it would be empirically validated with experimentation. It couldn't be wrong. There is no wrong if you followed the method correctly.
Okay, I want to bring both of you guys kind of to the beginning. I want to find out both of you, like, what brought you to this? What changed? What was the switch? What happened from, yeah, there's the globe in the corner of my classroom, you didn't question it, to, holy fuck, there's something going on here. I'm going to go to Alt Skull first.
You go first.
Yeah.
Alt.
Well, I was actually watching Owen Benjamin, who I'm not a huge watcher of Owen Benjamin anymore, but at the time he was going through the moon landing, and when he did go through that, I noticed, like, wow, this is just, I had suspicions before, but I didn't quite know where to look, and so I started listening to his podcasts on the moon landing and started looking into it on my own, and it was just, you uncover one thing after another, and it just becomes this ridiculous story, to the point that where you look back at it now and you're like, how did I ever believe that in the first place? That's just retarded. And obviously, a lot of the reason that people, when you start to bring up the moon landing being fake, will rail against that is because they can feel in their soul that the next thing is coming. And that's what I understood as well. And so when I first, like Mark said, when I first was confronted with the topic, I pushed back against it as hard as anyone else. But the difference between me and a lot of the other people that you'll encounter is that I didn't have an emotional reaction to it. I just wanted to find out if this was true or not. And so people started introducing me to things like curvature tests and laser, over the water tests and things like that. That's really all it took. It didn't take me too long to go, okay, there's no curve, so there's no globe if there's no curve. And you still, at that point, get involved in a lot of what Nathan Oakley, Mark's friends with Nathan Oakley. Nathan Oakley is the guy that I've learned most of my stuff with from. So there's no globe if there's no curve. And you still, at that point.
Pause. Yeah, pause. I knew it.
Yeah, it's pretty obvious he's a fan of the show.
Well, I'd just like to say, hey, Chocolate, I'd just like to say something based on what he said there. Not the Nathan Oakley part before that. A lot of people, they see a laser test or they see a long distance observation, and that shows them there is no curve. But then the problem is with that kind of thing is, unless the observation is epic or something, or the laser demonstration is epic, How do you like that should be proof enough that it's not a globe, or certainly not a sphere of the size we're told, because if it was, but it just should be proof enough that it's flat. But that doesn't prove it to most people. That's why you have to go further afield, and that's why we ended up at measurement, because measurement proves it, whereas observation is subjective to the person who's looking at it. Sometimes it depends. If the observation is epic, then it can't be argued with. But a lot of observations are not. They're not epic enough for people. They are epic, but maybe not so much that people can.
I know what you're trying to say is
hand wave
sometimes someone will present a boat in the distance, look at the GPS data for it, and say it's 5 miles away and therefore Earth's flat. And then it comes under scrutiny from an anti-flat earther who put it through the Earth curve maths without an appreciation of how that works and the flat Earth measurements it needs. And then there's a contention between the two of them, and then you end up in a debate about a subject that isn't debatable. We've got measurements. However, I hesitated to critique him because he's being asked, and I don't think you were critiquing him, you were just critiquing that particular point.
I'm just talking about that subject.
Yeah, I get it. But just to out Skull Guy, he's being asked, how did you come to the subject initially? And he's going to give the standards that he adhered to when he first came to the subject. I'm no different. If I was asked that question, I'd be talking about looking out of aeroplane windows at horizons, and you could very easily turn around to me and say, that's not a standard to prove it's flat. That's not a measurement. That's not science, or whatever garbage they throw at you that suggests it's not a high enough standard, and you could agree with them. And the same is true for almost anybody at this point. Not even at this point, we're well into 2024 now. There's going to be people, Brian and everyone else on the panel. Think about it this way. When I'm bleat about how poor the information was over the last 10 years, how much feast and nonsense there was, and how much propaganda there was, right? There is now going to be people who come to the show now and find out in the way that we want them to find out. That is to say, you could come to the show now, spend a cursory half an hour to an hour listening, and appreciate that Earth's measured flat, and go, oh, right, okay. That's how it's dealt with, that's how it's navigated, mapped, charted, flown over, whatever it is we're discussing. And go, oh, right, okay. Now I know it's flat. And they get on with their day. And still, garner the appreciation for the fact that everyone else thinks it's on a ball and holds a belief about that, and they don't get contentious about it. They nod along when someone starts talking about their religious belief in a ball, and they don't argue the toss. They just get on with their day knowing Earth's flat. And there's others who go, from today, I'm going to listen to everything these guys have got to say and learn the arguments against the ball so that when I'm in a debate, I can counter the arguments that come my way proactively from the ball side, along with knowing it's flat from the outset of my journey into this subject. Now, that is something that has never been true until now. It's something that used to get me banned from Globebusters chats when I moaned. Just talk about how Earth's flat. Just talk about the proof for it being flat. Banned. We're talking about ether today. Talking about incoherent dielectric acceleration. Why would you want to talk about flat Earth? Right? That's all I wanted. It's all I desired. And that's why this show is what it is. My desire to give this information out how it now is in 2024 to a audience of over 100 people currently. Right? If you've come because you've been shared the show and you thought, flat Earth, yeah, that'll be good for a laugh, and then you get here and hear how flat it's measured, there's a good chance that you'll go about your business in a very different way than you would have done 10 years ago if you come across this subject. Now, that's quite, when you think about it in those terms, would you not say that's quite a delight?
Yep. Yeah, it is good.
I'm very proud of what we achieve here on a daily basis. I really am. Yeah, I'm poor, but I am very, very happy in terms of what we do and how we do it. And the end result is this. Alt Skull.
Get involved in a lot of what Nathan Oakley, Mark's friends with Nathan Oakley. Nathan Oakley is the guy that I've learned most of my stuff with from. What he calls the feast of nonsense. And that would be things that we suspect are true or maybe inserted into the narrative to make us look crazy, but we can't prove. But later on, I noticed there's all these things that you can absolutely prove. Like there's no Coriolis, gas pressure can't exist without containment, and Earth is measured flat in every single case. And so once I got to that point, it was like, okay, it's no longer a belief. these people on the heliocentric side are the ones with the belief. They're the ones with the religious belief. That's also why they react with such ire, and they get so angry when you bring up something, because you're actually bringing up something that challenges their core fundamental belief that they don't have any logical consistency in. And when you
Spot on. Yeah, that is the truest thing you said so far. There is a belief on our opponent's side that they will confess to. They even try and juxtapose it with our belief, right? Which, until recently, might have been true for the majority of flat earthers. They had a belief in flat earth, and they were asked about their globe belief that they should hold. Why don't you believe in a globe? Right. So both sides of this former debate, now it's not contentious, had a belief.
do that, well, it puts them in a state of cognitive dissonance, and it puts them in a state of pain.
Certainly.
They don't like that at all. Yeah.
That's what a lot of beliefs when challenging anyone's firm beliefs, you get an emotional reaction out of. I think you're correct there.
5 stages of acceptance.
One other thing Mark said was, that we were all on the other side of this first. Like, everybody starts off as a heliocentrist because that's what you were indoctrinated into from birth.
What'd you call me?
Yeah, that's not true either. So I have to teach my kids, because of where they are, hearing or overhearing what I do on a daily basis. I have to teach them to respect people's globe belief. Now, I don't overtly teach my kids that Earth's flat, but they're in my presence, right? I don't need to say it. I'm discussing it with my wife when I discuss how the show's gone. My youngest daughter, albeit to come in and get crayons, came through 5 minutes ago. She came in, toddled through, grabbed what she needed and toddled out while we're discussing this subject. Now, that's not going to go in one ear and out the other forever. So I don't have to overtly teach my kids that Earth is flat when I'm talking about how Earth is measured flat on a daily basis. They're going to know. But like I say, with that in mind, I have to be considerate of the fact that they could get themselves in trouble, socially in trouble, if they go out of their way to challenge people like Daddy does on his debate show. So I have to say, look, everybody's entitled to their globe belief. And it's not your place to challenge average Joe who drops it into conversation when they talk about the way the world as a globe is in their mind. Just be respectful, nod along. No point getting into this debate with somebody who has a belief. Be respectful. Everyone's entitled to their belief. Go ahead, whoever those.
I was just going to say, the funny part is you wouldn't have to teach her that it's flat if the world wasn't teaching people that it was a globe. She would just accept it and understand that that's how it's represented. That's how Earth represents itself.
Yeah. Again, in terms of what my kids get to learn, they have a vague understanding of why we have a heliocentric model. Again, because it gets discussed on the show. When I'm doing my OMI videos and explaining that the church created it to better predict where the stars would be, so they know when Easter would come, so they could tell their congregations where certain significant events would take place in a time frame that they understood on a calendar that they understood. Right? All of those things led to us having a heliocentric model. Well, if you understand the origins of the measurements of angles of stars off a flat Earth, you can explain that to a child so that they understand and appreciate why the majority of the world, I used to say Western world, it's just not the case as I'm finding out on OMI. Everybody in the world that we know thinks they're on a ball now, it seems. There aren't any left, people with a non-indoctrinated upbringing. It is, as described by, who was it, Bush Senior, the one world religion. That's what it is. Heliocentrism is the one world religion. But not all kids in 2024 are raised with that propaganda and indoctrination. Got 2 of them in the next room.
And so,
round earther, bitch.
You can choose to look at the facts that are presented to you and accept them, or you can be an emotional little baby like so many people are now and cry and scream and then try to come up with reasons that the thing that you believe has to be true that are all excuses that don't actually address the real problems that the model has. So I didn't do
Most people don't want to think just in general. So, I mean, you have a challenge out of the gate when your argument is you need to do the research for yourself. But then when you're challenging an actual belief, it makes people not want to learn at that point, don't you think? Don't you think it just generally turns people off when they feel that?
It's a shame so many people struggle with the most common teeth and gum problems.
Yeah, this guy, he's hosting, so he's going to be a little bit interrupting.
They feel pain.
He is actually quite insightful, wouldn't you say, in terms of how he's summing it up. Now, he might be, in his mind, for all I know, of the mindset that he's summarising how flat earthers behave. But it doesn't matter. What he's suggesting is correct. There's a good chance that if you've got a very strong belief in something, everything else falls by the wayside. You're less inclined to want to learn something new that may challenge that belief. So, regardless of if you're saying that because his mindset is that, no, that's how flat earthers are, well, no, you're not opponent, but Alt Skull in this case has put it to you that that's how globe believers are, as opposed to people who can accept the facts that he laid out in terms of measurements. So, yeah.
Well, funny how
cognitive
discipline.
Say again, Chocolate.
Funny how that's laid at the door of flat earthers when we're the ones who actually have changed our minds based on new information. When they're the ones still stuck in their belief, but then we get called like psychos because we don't believe what they believe. Isn't that funny?
Yeah.
Projection much?
Yeah, because the one world religion has bred cult-like behaviour. There's no other way to describe what you've just described as cult-like behaviour, isn't it? Ridicule the person who has left the cult. Condemn them. That's what we have to suffer because we're no longer part of the globe cult.
Dissonance is pain. And just like Mark said, like people don't want to think. Thinking is much harder than people give it credit for.
Yeah.
Actually thinking. Because you have to deal with things that you hold at your core that cause a lot of fear. And like one of the arguments, quote unquote, that people always give you if they can't counter the things that you present them is, but why would they lie? And it's like, that's not my responsibility to tell you why they would lie. I don't care. I'm not going to divine the motivations of known liars and ask them why they would lie to me because they're just going to tell me more lies. I'm just going to.
See, Chocolate, definitely a fan of the show. He's listened to you. He knows your rhetoric.
Yeah, that's funny. Who are we listening to, by the way? Who is
somebody who's an obvious fan of the show and has declared it openly. He's like, I've watched Nathan Oakley. That's what he's using our rhetoric. So the fact that he's saying, why would I have to explain this motivation? It's a fallacy. And whose rhetoric is that, Chocolate? It's yours. Hopefully you're proud. I am. I'm very proud of this guy. Shout out to... Sorry, go ahead.
Sorry,
I just want to do a quick shout out to hold on. I just got bear with me, everyone. Chill. Got $100 super chat. Definitely need shouting out. Thank you so much for the super chat, FE Patriot. Kids need to know they are in control of their minds. Their minds are not the property of heliocentric religious leaders. Yeah, I absolutely believe that is so true. Yeah, you're in control of your own destiny, children. Thank you for the super chat. Sorry, the screen's all a bit wonky. I don't know what's happened there either. A few things going a bit twitchy with my OBS stream. I'll figure it out once I reinstall Windows.
I go with the facts, and we have a lot of facts when it comes to flat Earth.
Okay. Mark, how about you? When did you first start questioning the globe?
I started questioning it because I was conspiracy bored. I'm older and I never got married and had kids. So by 2014, I pretty much had run the gamut of just about, I have an opinion on just about every conspiracy you can think of, which, by the way, I was watching some of your aliens or your UFO episode from like a month ago. It's like, oh man, I would have totally chimed in on that one.
Well, actually, that was a couple years ago. Actually, we just re-uploaded. We just started on Rumble. Yeah, we got Vinny got kicked off of YouTube for doing something. Stupid.
No,
So
no,
we're over here
sir.
on Rumble now, so we just re-uploaded all our videos there.
Gotcha.
But
Not
we
accurate,
will be
Mark.
revisiting aliens again because we
Nice.
haven't done that in a while, and we will definitely. I'll have you in the Rolodex now.
Nice. That was a fun one to listen to. So I looked at everything except for flat Earth, and that alone should have been a flag, because I was like,
So-
why haven't I looked at this?
So
thing?
that's 2014. This theory. How long has this theory existed?
Well, it's been around for a long
And
time.
I apologize, Old Skull. I said theory.
No. It's
Okay.
No. It's
Yeah, see the commanding respect that he's achieved already. Yeah?
Wow.
Yeah. The guy's like, how long's this theory existed? Because that's his mindset. He's got his questions in his mind. He's rattling off what he's gone through. You know, I don't want to say rehearsed, but that's what it is mentally, right? That's what he's rehearsed with Mark, this guest. And that's what he's asking. But because he's listened to Alt Skull, he's having to say, I'm sorry I've used that word. Because you've already just taken, and Mark has for that matter, taken them through the bullshit of scientism as Mark Sargent's described it. So then you're into them having to apologise for using these terms incorrectly. You're like, yep, these two are great, Mark and Alt Skull. Ed?
No, I said good. I was actually impressed hearing that just now. Like, wait a minute, my bad for using that word, but in this context, yeah, you're bad. But it's cool.
It's not often that when we're covering these things that we like everybody, with the exception of the fact that he's a potato, which we've obviously all got over fairly quickly. I don't think we've actually noted it. Yeah, what's with the potato? I don't even care. I like all four of these guys, right? Wouldn't you agree that none of them are egregious, like typically is the case when we cover these videos? We'll take umbrage with somebody specifically, whereas in this case, they're all likable characters, aren't they?
It's been around a long time, but the new, we'll call it the Flat Earth 2.0, you know, the social media wave started in 2014 with just a handful of people. And there was not a lot of content out there to look at. There was just a handful of guys that were doing it, like Matt Boylan, Eric Dubay, a couple guys from Europe and stuff like that. And I decided, okay, I'm going to knock it off my bucket list. It's like Flat Earth is ridiculous. We all know this. I'm just going to kill it in a weekend.
But I guess what was the genesis of Flat Earth? The
original Flat Earth?
The original Flat, like, is this?
Oh, the original Flat Earth goes back to ancient times. You want to have fun? Go into Google and type in ancient cosmologies and click on images. Everybody drew the same thing. Everybody.
Nah, there's better standards now, Mark. That's how we got all those maps. When you say ancient cosmology, I mean, yeah, but if you're going to be asked for a timeline, don't go back that far. Yeah, just start talking about how we actually expanded the territory we do inhabit. The one that we know that we've got on the maps. Show the evolution of them, because they came from elevation angle measurements to the stars. That's how we expanded the territory. Now, I'm not saying you're wrong when you go back to ancient cosmology, but expanding the timeline that far, whilst valid, through the last 10 years of Flat Earth, isn't necessarily the best route currently. We know of a better one. So hopefully I'm, hopefully stepping over a line that shouldn't be stepped over with Mark, but there is a better way. I know Mark will watch this. Someone will share it with him. I mean, no doubt someone will be in Mark's video saying, oh, by the way, Nathan Oakley did a fairly lengthy response to you and Alt Skull. So there is a better way. Take them to the known chronology of maps and how they came to fruition. Describe the latitude and longitude grid, because in so doing, you're proving Earth is measured flat to create those maps in the first place. When you talk about the expansion of the known territories into the new worlds, that comes with flat Earth elevation angle measurements to the stars. The process of mapping and charting the known world is flat. So it's a better link rather than saying ancient cosmologists showed and depicted Earth as a flat plane or Earth as a sort of circled, domed area of land. You know, you've got all sorts of ambiguity in those depictions. Now, there's nothing wrong with that, but when you can show that Earth is measured flat for all of the maps that we currently use and how they came to fruition over the time of expansion of territory, you can describe that expansion with flat Earth measurements. For my money, it's much more effective. And obviously, I want Mark to be much more effective. Now, I don't think in this instance it undermines Mark's methodology of wanting a sort of soft landing when you describe something that is unequivocal and easy to prove historically. How we measured and mapped the territory was flat in all instances. How we expanded out and found the new worlds was flat in all instances. That's why the maps are flat. How did we use them? With circles of equal elevation, based on angle measurements to the stars with respect to a flat plane. That's how it's done. That's how Earth's measured. That's how it's mapped. That's how it's charted. It's how it's used today. So for my money, that's the way to go. Anybody disagree? Really not.
No, no.
I don't
Definitely
disagree, but I would say I don't mind the contrast.
No, I'm not saying he's wrong in the way he does it, because there's often old school ways of doing it that are wrong. This isn't one of them.
I'd say just leave Mark do Mark's thing and stop. Just leave him do his own thing. They can find that here. That's what I'd say.
Yeah, I agree. But by the same token, we want to spread this information, and right earlier in the show, I'm like, we look after our community here. Well, the same applies to Mark. As much as we like Mark, Mark's got his community, and that's his problem. Or in the case of Mark, probably not a problem, but you know what I'm driving at. His community's his concerns, and if they get the soft landing and they're happy with that and move on, and they don't get the cutting edge information we provide, so be it. But by the same token, every single time I've ever approached Mark with anything, he has taken it on board and incorporated it to great effect. Often better effect than I've incorporated it. More concise, more off the cuff, more casual, just more Mark, right? There's a reason he's got a considerably larger channel than me, right? Everyone loves Mark. But like I say, he's always been receptive. So, you know, hopefully a few of you will actually share this with Mark. I'm suggesting that one of you will let him know, but it might not be the case. Not everyone lets me know of every video that is made about me and comments that are made. But I'd hope in this case, because it's positive criticism, Mark would hear this and go, no, that does make a lot of sense. Yes, there are ancient cosmological depictions of Earth as a flat plane in a dome or whatever, but the maps we do use have a chronology also, and the measurements that go alongside them are flat. So for me, that's a better way of doing it. Whether or not Mark does it, it doesn't really matter. I'm saying it for my audience. I'm not speaking to Mark personally right this second. I haven't contacted him about this to change his ways. I've only ever done that once, once or twice, maybe a few more. I've approached Mark a few times. Anyway, one of the instances was actually in person with Mark about science and the scientific method. So, you know, there's a reason he's not looking shocked when Alt Skull goes through this. This is not unfamiliar to him. But there we go. And at the times I've approached him, he's combated my concerns. So I approached him about concerns about using the azimuthal equidistant projection in his examples, and he counteracted them and was like, no, I'm going to continue to use it for these reasons. And he gave them and justified his reasons for using it on people that need a transitional tool to do so. Without it, he has no tool to do that. And I back down. So, you know, there's always going to be a bit of to and fro. It's not like Mark's a complete pushover. You don't get to be well liked by being a complete pushover, which he definitely is not. But like I say, he's always been receptive. And in this instance, that's why I threw it open to the panel. Anyone disagree? I don't think Mark would either, but whether or not he uses it is irrelevant, so long as our community gets to hear it.
Yeah, there's a bit of noise where I am, so.
Again?
The thing about it is that the AE map has the correct latitude and longitude grid upon it. It's only the land masses that are out of whack, but the latitude and longitude grid is correct. So it's not completely wrong. Kind of like the Gleason's map, it's half correct.
Right. But it's a globe projection.
No globe.
I mean, so we're going back to Columbus and
pre-Columbus.
Like, okay.
I mean, it goes back a long, long way because before
that in itself should validate what I've said. He wanted to go to Columbus. That's how far his mind had cast back. Yeah. So I'm right, aren't I?
the globe model was even introduced, everyone said it was flat. Everybody said it was not only flat, but it had some sort of domed sky because that's what they observed. It was only much, much later when they rolled out the globe. Way, way later. And again, when they rolled it out, most people still couldn't read or write. So this starts.
Doesn't it?
Go ahead.
I'm sorry.
No, you're good.
Like, I just want to ask you, when you're thinking about these old cosmology, that's what you called it, cosmology?
Yeah,
Or is
ancient
that
cosmologies, yeah.
ancient cosmologies, when they're drawing, as you described it, as a snow globe,
right,
which is the model that you see when you start looking up flat Earth and you look up pictures.
Yeah.
Don't you feel like that's just the natural thing you would observe, just like without having the ability to go up and look down?
Well, that's my.
Wasn't he up and go on? Someone's got there before me. Go on.
No, I was just saying, yep.
Well, there's
I
no up
agree
and down on a
completely.
globe, is there? You need a flat plane for that. In and out only if you're referencing a globe.
My point. If that's the natural way of observing it, then why did it change exactly? Why all of a sudden it take for the Americans, and by the way, the globe model was introduced way before space flight. In fact, there's a great little quote. Let me do this quote really fast from George Orwell, 1984. And he wrote in 1946, and he wasn't a flat earther, but he was talking about how we've gotten to this age now where science is dictating to people, and people are just believing them because they're wearing the lab coats. And which is, they're deferring. It's like, well, he obviously looks smarter than me. He's gone to university and become a PhD in something. He's obviously more intelligent than me. And he said, you go out in the streets and you ask people how they know it's a globe. They will just knee-jerk response. It's like, what are you talking about? We know. It is known. Game of Thrones type thing. It's like, it is known. And then you follow up. It's like, really? How do you know? Then the gears start grinding. And then they realize it's not that they know, they were told. And there's a big difference there. How did everybody in the world in 1946 know that the world was a globe? There was no space program. NASA wasn't even founded until 1958. So how did everybody know? It's because...
Yeah, it's a good point to leave it on. Brian was mentioning Orwell right at the beginning of this, weren't you, Brian? Happy coincidence. Oh, to be sure. Very happy coincidence, Nathan. Oh, I'm pleased that you agree. You brought it up, Mark brought it up, everyone brought it up. Everyone loves Orwell.
What is it? I didn't. Why are you putting on a bad accent? What's that about?
I said you brought up Orwell. You happened to cover exactly the same thing that Mark covered at the beginning of the show, didn't you?
I brought it up, yeah, because that's where I got it from Mark.
Oh, okay.
Years ago, way back, 2015.
Fair enough. We may continue with this tomorrow, but for the meantime, I'm going to ask you if you are watching this on either Nathan Oakley 1980, oh, my camera's gone all skewy, or Nathan Oakley Premiering Streams, then stay tuned as there will be an after show to follow. That's where I pause the recording and I'm out of sync. Well, the audience like that. Well, lots of people saying it was a good show in the live chat after the fact. Good choice, Mush.
Yeah, it was a great vid, man. And yeah, like I said, it was 2 other people that recommended it, and they said it was good. So kudos to them. One of them was Wintruck Colorum, I don't know. And I forgot who the other person was, but shout out to those guys.
Well, shout out to that Alt Skull guy more than anyone.
Yeah, that too, for sure. Breath of fresh air, huh?
I thought that opening he gave right at the beginning was spot on, excellent. Just go to, it's not a belief, it's measured flat. That's all you need to do.
Yeah, and he got an apology out of the host. Him and Mark together combined got an apology when he was like, when did this theory begin? Oh, I'm so sorry to call it a theory. You're like, what? Excuse me?
Jedi. What's up, brother?
Yeah, what's up, Chocolate Man? Good to hear you, mate.
You too, bro.
So we're going to cover a guy called Jay tomorrow. I had intended to cover him today, but Liam recommended it. I'll cover him tomorrow.
Yeah, the only thing that I don't know, I'm not too crazy about Mark when he says like you can do your own long distance observations and lasers and stuff like that. I just think like once you know that all bodies of water must be contained at surfaces level, what lasers do you need now? Once you know the Earth is measured flat and how it's measured, once you know about elevation angles and all that, like you don't even need to talk about lasers anymore or long distance observations. So I want to see Mark talk about measurements more. They didn't mention latitude either. Stuff like that.
That's why I want. Right. I was just saying that's why I'm hoping to get onto his show, present the pitch data, because that's such a simple thing for anyone to understand and take. He'll like it because it's so simple, and he can present that every time he goes to a podcast. Do you know what I mean? It's right up his street. He doesn't have to go through a big rigmarole of explanation. The zero is horizontal. The plane is not pitching below it. You know what I mean? It's that simple. So I reckon he'll love it if he ends up having me on.
Yeah, he will. I'm with you. When it comes to these laser tests, like, okay, what practical use do they serve beyond affirming flat Earth's belief? What do they do? How do you use them in a practical way? And the answer is you don't. So you go, okay, well, what other standard can you apply to Earth that you can put to a practical application? Well, establishing horizontal planes is all we ever do with Earth when we measure it. So shouldn't that be the go-to? Not the off-the-cuff crap that flat earthers do with lasers and bits of card. You're like, when is anybody going to use that for anything ever? They're not going to, are they? So that's crap. Meanwhile, we establish a horizontal plane of reference for everything. Always. Even describing Earth curve involves measuring Earth flat.
I was going to say
Mumble.
earlier.
Your mic's come unconnected or something. It's just crackling. Chocolate.
They say echo chamber a lot, right? But it's more like a study group, and you're learning the same things, and you go, "Oh, that's cool." And then sometimes you learn something a little bit new but adjacent, and you go, "Oh," and you pretty much sit back and you add it to the pile. And at this point, we're just kind of like, "What else? What else is new?"
I was going to say earlier
That bringing up the ancient cosmology because it's a contrast, right? I've always said how sometimes you need to have that contrast from the mainstream story hit you in the face sometimes. So him saying that will maybe hit some people in the face who have thought nothing but like, oh, we've known it's a globe 2,000 years. You know what I mean? How many people will tell you that? Oh, we just know we know thousands of years. But then you hear him say, wait a minute, there's all these ancient civilizations that I thought it was flat. What's going on? And some people might need that contradiction. It'll help.
They know it's a globe so much that they're going to Antarctica in 2024 to find out if it is. And I mean, that's how much they know. They never know. They never knew. It was all a load of lies.
Yeah, they go into Antarctica to find out if this naturally observed phenomena even exists. And they call it experiment already. Interesting.
Interesting.
Wait, I thought we had that sewn up. Now it's an experiment to see if it works. I thought we had that all shown up that we're on a globe.
Yeah, I thought that was thrown up there about
Something
2,000
went
years
wrong
ago.
there.
Yeah, it works both ways. Well, I'm saying, what are we using these stupid tests for if we've got flat Earth measurements, right? The same is said for the globe side. Okay, you think you've got this all sewn up, right? So show us that. Why do you need to go to Antarctica?
That's exactly been my thing since this crap started. I don't understand it.
I didn't fully hear what was said there earlier. Someone said something about a study group. Well, when the borders get
Yeah,
together,
it was me.
it's not like. Sorry.
They call us an echo chamber, right? As if it's a bad thing, and I understand why they'd say that, like it's a bad thing. But it's more like a study group, where we're all kind of learning. So we're all learning together, and then at the same time we're learning little tangential things, by ourselves, and then we come back and you show us, oh, well, look how this is flat as hell, and then and we're like, oh, that's very cool, and then we just pretty much add it to a pile and we sit back because we got it. They're just showing us flat.
But I didn't know if you're referring to us or you're referring to the borders. But
The
my point
the
being is that
ballers, like they'll show us anything and it's just gonna be flat. That's what I meant.
yeah, that's true. I was thinking of the borders because they are part of a religious group. So when they get together, it's a bit of a study, a bit of a religious study group. And what did they? Let's just say the anti-flat earthers. What did they actually talk about when they're together? Like it's basically all, I would say, stuff to do with ways of trying to get in our way, trying to somehow come up with ways to cause flat earth a problem. Excuse me. I wouldn't say there's anything goes on within their groups outside of desperate, sneaky, ridiculous behavior and ridiculous plans that will never amount to nothing. Do you know what I mean? Or never amount to anything. I'd say now when they
That's
all
what I
get together
imagine.
in their Discord servers, I'd say now with their, the ones where globe only, no flat earthers kind of places. It's like what kind of level of sad is happening there?
They do a bit of
Maybe they're
chanting.
finding their globe measurements.
They do a bit of chanting. Say Om and things like that. Tell each other that their reference frames are ruined.
Speak about the 8 different versions of level they have.
Come up with overcomes for things we've said. Tell them we wouldn't expect to see curve.
It's like I did wonder, like what I heard there was a globe server lately, and because you hear that, but you hear that sometimes. You hear they're like, oh, where are they going, and what are they doing? You watch the channels, and they're just complaining about us, and they're just trying to reify what we've all been taught before, what we've all kind of seen through, and rinse repeat.
I mean, like re-indoctrinate you into the same story that you just left.
Yeah.
Pretty much. No thanks. That's what I tell them. No, thank you. I just left that story. I don't need it. I don't need another one.
Title of the show: Mark and Alt Skull Smash It. Right, it's very quiet here. I might round out and do a few OME videos. With that, another massive, huge, enormous thank you to both Discord and G Plus panels for making today's after show possible. And of course, a massive thank you to all of you for liking, commenting, sharing, subscribing, hitting the super chat. $100 super chat today. Wow. Awesome. Thank you very much for the support and all that good stuff. Links to PayPal and Patreon and all that stuff are below this video. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I will see you all in the next one.